Well, it may be a bit late for that. I remember talking to an Australian diplomat at one point about this break between the US and China and said, you know, both sides are going to say, whose team are you on? And he said, our job is to make sure the question never arises. But the question has arisen. And so I think we have to go deeper. And it's not about the US versus China. It's about what underpins a world order is always the financial system. I was very privileged. My father was an advisor to Nixon when they came off the gold standard in '71. And so I was brought up with a kind of inside view of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights if we're going to have digital money. But also, this new money will be sovereign in nature. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well. And the question is, will that new system of digital money and digital accounting accommodate the competing needs of the citizens of all these locations so that every human being has a chance to have a better life? Because that's the only measure of whether a world order really serves.
This reset will be a huge shock when Americans catch on. That's why the average person won't hear a word about the story until it's obvious to just about everyone. And by then, it's going to be too late. Yeah. In the months ahead, central banks around the world are planning to go digital. Many of the legacy banks you've heard of, where you probably even keep your money, like Bank of America, Chase, Citi, Wells Fargo, they're about to be reset, overhauled by a new type of technology called fintech, which is short for financial technology.
Yeah, can I ask you, what exactly does that mean for the banks and all of us, you and me?
Essentially, it means the function of our banks is about to change. They probably won't raise public suspicion about it by changing the signs on your bank's branches, but according to my sources, the Federal Reserve will soon own all the banks, and your local branch, it's simply going to be like a licensee of the Fed. In other words, the banking infrastructure is being rebuilt from the ground up, and very few Americans are aware this is even happening. We are right on the verge of a once-in-a-generation opportunity to profit by investing in the companies that are building out the architecture for this massive shift.
Intergenerational wealth transfer is a huge issue now for advisors and clients. Joined today by the 43rd Treasurer of the United States, Rosa Rios, to discuss just that. Rosie, welcome.
Thank you.
So Rosie, when you think about the intergenerational wealth transfer that's going to go on, what do you think about?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And if you're only thinking about it now, you're behind the 8 ball. The train has left the station. I keep saying that, and it's absolutely true, especially when it comes to this topic. So what people need to realize about intergenerational wealth is it's already happening, right? So we're talking about kind of, so the boomers, which is my generation, you know, we have the most discretionary income. But this next generation, basically, you know, the millennials, although it's pretty much anyone born in the mid-90s and later, you know, are going to inherit this opportunity to really think about investments in a totally different way. So when you think about those generations, so technically, you know, the millennials or anyone born between 1980 and 1996. But again, look, my son's 26, my daughter's 21. I call them the Robin Hood investor, right? But in reality, you know, these are kids who grew up with the internet, right? So anyone who's grown up with the internet, they see the world as very flat. It's no longer what they're taught at home or what they're taught in the classroom. It's what they see. It's what they've learned, the good, the bad, the ugly of the internet. They're very tech savvy, they're very confident, but they don't have the experience that perhaps a lot of wealth managers, financial analysts, managers, etc. need to really understand how to think about their investments. So for me, you know, it was very important that I get into their heads. My daughter's 21, my son is 26. When I left the Obama administration in 2016, after serving both terms, I studied these kids, I call them kids, for 2 years at Harvard. And I really wanted to understand kind of the social, political, economic way that they think and how they behave. And for them, you know, it's kind of this one and done world, right? It's set it and forget it. Right. Technology means everything to them. They're very, very confident, they're very progressive, and they're very savvy. But again, they lack a lot of the world experience that my generation still has. So even here now in this economic downturn, this unprecedented economic downturn, this is where, in my opinion, the wealth management industry has a huge opportunity. It's no longer about taking them out to golf and buying them dinner. It's really kind of thinking about how to use technology and information in a totally different way. So if you're not already on their app, on their phone, and that's how they access information, if you're not already there, you know, you're behind. You're behind. So for people to really think about how to use technology, how to kind of think about kind of out of the box approaches to investments, and really it's not just about assessing value, it's creating value. And again, really being able to understand how these kind of exotic investments work, whether it is crypto, whether it is thinking about getting into, whether it's the metaverse, et cetera, these pre-IPO opportunities. I mean, the time is now. The absolute time is now.